HBCU League Pass. Watch your favorite black colleges, some of the best players in the land. HBCU League Pass. It's game time, I'm proud and I love my HBCU. HBCU League Pass. Watch your favorite black colleges, some of the best players in the land. HBCU League Pass. It's game time, I'm proud and I love my HBCU.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never, ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
So...
right, welcome to another edition of the ONG Strike Zone. Bryan Fulford here with Kelvin Rozier, Kofi Hemingway, and we can say the epic return was truly an epic outcome for the Florida A&M Rattlers, who got a 26-3 victory on homecoming in front of 31,187 folks in Bragg Memorial Stadium. Fellas, Kelvin, Kofi, how you doing this evening?
Doing great, man.
How are you, man? Feeling good.
All right. Well, we got a lot to unpack because, we moved from one blue blood of Grambling, and then we get a turnaround and hit the road for a rematch against another blue blood in Southern. In terms of rivals or rivalries, which would you say is better? I think I kind of know your thoughts on this probably, but what do you think is a better rivalry, Grambling or Southern? Kelvin?
Hands down Southern. Southern is my favorite rivalry, period. That's more of a rivalry for me than Bethune, to be honest.
And what about you, Kof?
I agree. We have more history with Southern University. And because of that history, coming through the ranks more or less, it means something when you play that game. I'm grateful for that. Excuse me, and grateful for that time with Jake Gaither and, of course, Coach Mumford. I wasn't there during that time, but I did get an opportunity to see us with Billy Joe and Pete Richardson, two legendary Hall of Fame coaches, go at it. And I think that's when the rebirth of the rivalry really, really, really took off. It revitalized Jaguar Nation, and it revitalized Rattler Nation. And we had an opportunity to see it because both of those teams were always vying for the HBCU championship during that time. So definitely, I would say Southern due to the history, but Grambling's not far behind. It's just a different feel and it's just a different vibe. Grambling doesn't travel nearly as well as Southern University, but when we play them, normally the game is always packed because the game always means something. So just give it a little time, and Grambling's going to get in there. If Saturday's game was any indication, that Grambling game is going to be big because their players were just as chippy. I was like, oh my God, like what is wrong with you people? Like you are in Bragg Memorial Stadium. Y'all came out the field house ready to fighting the flag corps. I was like, bro, they just don't know. They fighting band members. They just don't know. I'm just like, they just jumped up and ran across the field. I was like, something is wrong with these people. Like they just don't get it. Just play football. But they came in with a big old chip on their shoulder. I'm sure they remember this AZZ cutting for a long time. And, it's going to bode well when we have to go there next year.
Yeah, well, we got a lot to unpack here. You brought up a few things, which we'll get into here shortly. Just want to remind everyone that's watching, appreciate you watching us on whether it's Facebook or on Twitter or on YouTube. Do us a favor. First thing, go ahead and make sure you're subscribed or that you are that you're tuned in to our show with a big like, a thumbs up of some nature. We kind of helps out the algorithms or whatever. If you're watching us or listening to us rather via the podcast, make sure you are subscribed as well, and make sure you're following us at ONG Strike Zone, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We need to pick up those numbers. So I don't know whichever your preferred platform is, but especially if it's Facebook or Twitter, go ahead and like us. And then download that Jericho Broadcast Networks app on your Google or Apple Play Store. MyJBN, MyBCSN is where you can find it. All of the shows. We are part of the Black College Sports Network, a host of shows that cover not only Black college athletics in general, but then we have shows like ours, and others that cover school specifics. So, all right, fellas, let's get into first, before we get into talking about the homecoming experience, let's talk about the game. Get into the game. I had a chance to listen to Coach Simmons with his which is show that he actually did on Tuesday because of the adjusted schedule due to voting that took place on Tuesday. All college teams across the country took Tuesday off, so the Rattlers kind of changed their schedule, and his show was on Tuesday. Kelvin, what are your takeaways from Saturday's game?
Overall, it was a B for me. I was very satisfied with the effort. The defense, again, was dominant. We held them under 200 yards, and about 70 yards of that came on the last drive of the game where the quarterback ran for about 50, 60 yards on a zone read run. So it was extremely dominant from a defense standpoint. We got on the board early, offensively. You know, we jumped out 21-0 early in the second quarter. Third down conversions was something that I noticed. I think we're about 9 or 15, somewhere around there. And time of possession, man, we had the ball. I mean, we had the ball almost 40 minutes. So I've embraced this team and their strengths, which is defense, play good special teams, run the ball, and whether we score 40 or 25 is cool with me, as long as we keep getting them W's. So this is our identity, man. So we kind of stuck with our identity. So I'm happy. I thought it was a really solid performance.
Yeah, 9 of 15 on third down, as you brought up. We had the ball for 37 minutes and 1 second. 37:01. Grambling for 22:59. And so, yeah, pretty good performance, good solid all the way around. Kofi, what's your takeaway from the game?
Oh, I loved it, man. The whole vibe. I mean, Rattler Nation was in full effect, basically from sunup through sundown on into Sunday. I was riding past Perry Street coming from a tennis lesson and looked down the street, and it was still packed. So having all of those people in Bragg Stadium was just amazing. I just want to see us buy into the concept of who we are even more and continue to play mistake-free football. Running the ball is what we do this year. But McKay played a great game with the exception of one throw that happened to be a pretty decent play by the Grambling defensive back. But other than that, he was lights out in the first half, making the right read, stepping up in the pocket, moving the ball. And as one of my NFL Films coaches from Kansas City said, they were just matriculating the ball down the field, keep matriculating it. So they worked the clock, and it was good to see McLeod back into the fold in full effect as they started with Bonnet, but then they started with the heavy team. And they came in and offered a degree of physicality that has not been with the FAMU running game, I want to say, since the Rudy Hubbard days. So, and we're doing this without a whole lot of trickery, without an option, without a whole lot of zone reads, which means that our offensive line is really getting the job done, which is a good deal. And if you can control that line of scrimmage, you stand to do extremely well. And, of course, our defense just held them in check. I mean, all three phases, especially in the first half, were just lights out. I have nothing bad to say.
Yeah, we had to return not only of Jalen McLeod, who 10 carries, 48 net yards, and the score. Terrell Jennings led all rushers with 54 net yards on 12 carries. You mentioned Bonnet with 26 net on 9 carries. We also had the return of Xavier Smith. The X-Man was back, making his presence known. 7 catches, 72 yards on the day. And yes, I too thought Rashawn McKay did a good job. I'm not one to to shy away from giving praise to where praise is due. And, good job by McKay. 20 of 34, 204, 2 touchdowns, had the 1 interception, was not sacked at all in the ball game. It was interesting hearing Coach Simmons talk about the fact that he felt like he kind of knew very early in the game there was nothing that Grambling could really do. I mean, short of us giving the ball over to them with turnovers, there was really not much Grambling could do. And you kind of sensed that in the game. I mean, it was – I was a little shocked, to be honest. No, it wasn't. It really wasn't. And I felt like, okay, is that – and really, let's just say the second half was really like, let's just get out of here. Because it was so chaotic in the second half, and I guess we can sort of transition into the experience. The second half, I don't know what that was. The second half was just it was just out there. There were so many people on the sidelines. The distraction committee was on the Grambling side. I mean, it was a hot mess. I'm not gonna lie. At one point in the game, well, when you had the little incident in the third quarter, I looked at a replay video. I saw people coming from the end zone running. And I don't know if it was media or camera people. I'm like, where's that guy running to? You had the PA guy playing music, the band. You had the alumni band. You had like 2 different bands playing. The PA guy was playing music. The official was trying to give this. I didn't know what was going on in the second half. And at the same time, you just saw people on the sideline. I think even Coach Simmons said he bumped into a fan on the sideline one time. I was like, man, I pity anybody in the SWAC coming to FAMU for homecoming. I mean, really, there was this smidgen of me that felt bad for Grambling in the second half because I was like, I don't think Coach Fobbs expected this. What was your take on just the overall atmosphere, Kelvin, as we kind of transition a little bit into whether it be the in-stadium experience or the outside the stadium experience?
Well, I'm gonna talk about the in-stadium experience. It was thick, it was crowded, and from a operational standpoint, you mentioned some things. There were some challenges, right? Starting with entry into the game, it's a large crowd. And you had a small staff and 1 or 2 scanners, so the lines were long. So a lot of people didn't get into their seats till like the second quarter. And the line stayed constantly long, all 6 gates where the public comes in. Stayed long all the way, probably midway through the second quarter. But eventually they all got in. And then concessions, looked like the concessions were a little light. You had on the west side, I know one looked like all I saw was drinks. So when I saw somebody frying on the outside there, outside the gate there. So there was some little hiccups like that. And then you mentioned about the security side, right? I think everybody's seen that distraction committee, and I have to say that's funny, man. That's good stuff to me. But again, it is unprofessional though, and we have to do better. But I like that committee, and I hope they stay on the job, right?
Yeah, amen. Amen. They did a great job.
But in terms of the crowd, I never made it to my seat, man, because it was almost impossible to get through that crowd once you got in, and I coming in from the west side, trying to go through that south end zone to get to the east side. Yeah. It was thick. So I just kind of stayed in the end zone and then went back to the tailgate after halftime, right? And I had a game on my radio and my phone, so when I could get it on the phone.
As I was sitting in the media box there, looking down, as I could see, there were so many times when I felt bad for people who didn't get to their seat early enough because they had that bewildered look like, I got my ticket, I'm supposed to be here, but I don't even know where here is. And I kept thinking, what would the experience be if there were ushers? Now, I mean, I know that's a cost, but I just was looking at that, trying to put myself in, somebody else's shoes who might have been new or might have been coming to the game for the first time, I don't know where you sat. I don't know how you sat. You just kind of find a place to fit in, I guess. I don't know. What's your take, Kofi? What's your thoughts on what you saw out there?
I want to say, I mean, the whole game experience at Bragg is unique. Um, it's unique within itself. I think in terms of game day atmosphere, in stadium atmosphere, I would say that FAMU's is definitely top tier in the SWAC, if it's not number one at all, especially when everybody's in there and doing, everybody's in and dialed into the game and really focused. It's different. So if you have not experienced that, it can mess you up. And I think that obviously the stadium security, all of those things go out of the window almost at homecoming because you've got more people to deal with and not enough people to govern it. So it can just be a zoo, but I think it's a good home field advantage for the orange and green. And that's what you want. I want my opponent not to be at ease when they come to Bragg Memorial Stadium. I want them to be very uncomfortable coming in. I think the homecoming experience is what it is. And we had an entire year off where it was no homecoming. So our people were extra amped up to actually come to homecoming this year, as was the whole city of Tallahassee and the South Side, which cannot be underestimated or understated. So it's just necessary for us. I would like to see us build on that momentum, continue to get the west side filled up or straightened out with the renovations. We obviously need state-of-the-art press box, not just for our games, but for, just additional events, along with the whole sound system and scoreboard, because it will improve the whole game day experience. But I welcome the Rattler game day experience because I'm a Rattler, but God, pity the fool who comes from another school, because it's just different. And I will say this because technically the other team was supposed to be on the west side, being that given that whole North Carolina A&T vibe, but I'm glad that they stuck them on the student side, because that student side will get after you, they heckle you, they talk to the players get distracted, they start talking mess, and it don't be the dudes doing it. It's the ladies, man. They are like, I'm talking everything from booties everywhere to, open cleavage to flirting to calling them names to almost, I've seen a couple of them like throw stuff, but that student side is like, if they not focused and they not disciplined and dialed in, it will rear its ugly head in the wrong type of way, and your players will be behind 21 points before they know it.
So answer this, and because this is the first home game I've had a chance to attend this year, that student side, is that normally not the side where the visitors are?
No. The student side is the side where the visitors are, but the visitors always have problems. Like A&T was having problems. I think Fort Valley, Howard. I can go down the list of teams that have started out on the student side and it didn't get out of hand, but I've seen times when the teams have had to switch sides. It's definitely the side that I want my opponent on. I want my opponent on the student side, on the east side, because that's where all of the chaotic stuff really, really, really goes on. And if you're not dialed in, it's going to be a long day for you.
Well, if I recall, wasn't there a few years in the MEAC years, maybe in the late mid-90s, early Billy Joe era, when I don't know whether it was mandated or whether we just kind of did it out of courtesy, where we did switch sides, where FAMU did take that side in front of the student and the 100 and gave the visitors the other side. I'm sure you recall that.
It's happened multiple times. All right, so tradition says that the student side is the side that the team back in the day used to be on, the home team, the Rattlers, because it was, their backs to the university, protecting the university. So it was more tradition for them to be on that side. However, they have coaches who have come in and, because of the suns and high sets and of course with the 100 and there's chaos that go over there, they prefer, and I understand that also, that the visiting teams be on that side. So in 2018, when the the A&T game happened and that incident happened, A&T was on that side. The referees and the MEAC mandated after that incident, because to keep teams from crossing the rest of our home games the rest of the year, the MEAC mandated that the team switch. So our team was on the student side those last couple of home games in 2018. And then that wasn't the first year it happened. It's happened before.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of good discussions going on in the chat rooms. 31,887, or excuse me, 887. Let me say that right. Kind of interesting, those last four numbers, right? Those last four numbers, how that worked out. I don't know if that was somebody who cooked it that way or whether it just happened to work out that way. Kind of interesting, I thought.
So let me kind of touch that briefly. The only thing I will say is that because of the e-ticket system and the ability to be able to pull up your tickets, I know that that there were some folks who had some issues and had to be waived in. So I would think that number was a combination of actual scans and guessing.
Right. That is the third largest homecoming crowd at Bragg. I vividly remember number one, and I was on internship in New York for number two, so I missed that one. But number one was 1996, 33,954. And they pulled a similar number the next year in 97, 33,441. But what's interesting, you guys remember, they used to bring in that extra set of bleachers in that end zone. And so that's where you could get that extra probably 2,000 people with that extra bleacher. And then all of a sudden, we wanted to make the VIP section for folks to come in and VIP and tailgate, with the nice tables and the wine and all that stuff. So they took that away. And so now you have the end zone cabaret area, So now 31,000 is where you got. Go ahead, Kofi.
So if you get a press box with a club section, you can move the end zone club to the press box, and they can have their own air conditioning and food and wine and whatever it is they got. And then you can put bleachers up in the end zone area and get more seats.
Yeah.
So that's just a thought, just thinking out loud. But it's also all the more reason because, just after looking at all of the sea of people, the rivers of people, the streams of people that were on Perry Street, in the parking lot, in the tailgating area, and on Wanish Way, it was at least, I would say, with the stadium and the streets, it was close to 100,000 people in that vicinity, which means that on homecoming, if the stadium had the room, 45,000, 50,000 could have fit in there pretty easy. And I'd like to remind people that our largest homecoming crowd was in 1979 versus Tuskegee, and we had 36,000 people way back in 1979. So with a larger venue, I mean, we could definitely be pushing consistently 50,000 plus on homecoming. And I think because of the bus, what?
Where did we play that game?
We played it at Doak Campbell Stadium versus Florida State.
Okay.
At Florida State, sorry.
Right.
So just really with that, that was coming off of the national championship year. We're playing Tuskegee, and Muhammad Ali was there in 1979. So there were tons of people that were looking. That was the year that we beat the University of Miami. So everybody was in a celebratory mood. But the school at the time was only 5,000. We've got near 10,000 people or students at our school now. And we were the largest HBCU in, I would say, in the 90s. So all of those people are coming back for homecoming. Not to mention Tallahassee is way larger than it was back in 1979. So, bro, we could very easily, with the right facility, be able to, I would say, supersede or supplant or move Jackson State out of the way when it comes to being the attendance leader for FCS. And I think that that'll be a big part to our future success, provided we can get leadership to buy into the possibilities of having a new facility with a new state-of-the-art facility that will be able to house Rattler Nation and others and the city of Tallahassee and beyond.
Well said. Well said. Well, hey, we truly have the, congratulations to the 12th man, the student body, the band, the alumni side, the season ticket holders, all of you. It was a great 12th man. I don't think there is another experience like it in the SWAC. When you go and look at the stadiums, there's no experience like Bragg. So it truly is a home field. We've won 9 games in a row. Another perfect season.
10.
9. Where's the 10? It was 4-0 this year, 5-0 last year. We lost the last game of 2018.
Let me go back. Hold on.
All right, you go back. I'm gonna give a couple before we go to a break. I'm gonna just shout out a few people in the chat room. Montre Bennett, happy birthday to you. Mary 305, happy hello Mary. Always one of the first people to dial in. Floyd Hills out there, I know, shout out. I had to make sure I get that in. Don't get hazed up again. My boy Floyd, thanks for tuning in. Marcus, I see Marcus out there. What's up, Mark? Dwayne Sweet, always checking in. A few other people. I'll make sure to give you some shout out. Larry Smith, Corinthia Morgan, appreciate you. A lot of people that we met at and around Bragg. Thank you all. A few people stopped and said, "Hey, we watched the show." I love it, man. That really hit my heart. That's good to know. So we appreciate you. Coming up, we're going to step away from the football field, go to the bowling lanes as we talk to our head women's bowling coach. And then a little bit later, we're going to talk to our head women's basketball coach. So we got some coaches coming up in the next 2 segments. You guys stick around. We'll be back right after these words. You're watching the O&G Strike Zone.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody.
Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
HBCU League Pass. Watch your favorite black colleges. Some of the best players in the land. HBCU League Pass. It's game time. I'm proud and I love my
All right, welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Bryan, Kelvin, and Kofi. And it's a pleasure to be joined by our head women's bowling coach, Coach Karen Brown. Coach Brown, thank you for coming on the ONG Strike Zone tonight. How are you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, and greetings to everyone.
Yeah. So, Coach, this is, I believe, going into your 10th season. Is that correct?
That sounds about right. Time flies.
I didn't want to date you. I just wanted to put it out there so folks know how long you've been running the ship out there, and that's all. So why don't you? I know the season is actually happening right now, and a lot of people may not be familiar with the seasons for bowling. So give us a little update on where we are, because we're actually sort of in the middle of the season. Am I correct with that saying?
That is correct. We our season is to get our over it gets to all of the about the way the medical and the training and all that complete. October hit the road run. We just all of
Hey, Coach. Coach, give us a second because we're losing the audio from you a little bit. Let me see if I don't know if my producer, are you able to turn? I don't know if it's maybe a volume issue or a connection issue. Let's see. We want to make sure we can hear you.
Can she log out and log back in?
We might need to. I'm not sure. Let me see what my producer is saying. Let's see, Coach. Let's try it again. Let's see if we can get you in a clear line here. So if you want to go ahead and let's try again. So because you were kind of coming in and out. I don't know if you can hear us very well.
Oh yeah, you're clear. Can you hear?
All right. Let's do this. Let's try to see if we can connect via a phone line. Let me see if my producer if we can make any kind of quick adjustment here, because I want to make sure we can hear you. And then sometimes, I don't know if it's a connection issue on one end or the other here.
Probably my location.
Let's see. My producer, any suggestions? Okay, Coach, let me let's see. We're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go. Can I go ahead and send you an email with the call-in number? Because what I can do is I can give you the call-in number, and maybe we can talk with you over the phone. Is that a good idea? Can that work?
Yeah, that works.
Kelvin, I don't know. Do you have Coach's number, or do you want me to send the email?
How you prefer, Coach?
Over the phone. Yeah.
All right. So let's do this. Let's step away for a quick minute. Let's take a quick break, come back, and then I want to get you, Coach. I'm gonna give you the phone number here in the middle of the break, and we'll come back and we'll reset. Okay? Don't go anywhere just yet, Coach. Folks, give us a moment. We'll be right back with the ONG Strike Zone.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together,
The bad
Brown?
connection.
Yeah,
Hello?
we got you now, Coach. Hello, Coach. You there?
I am. Is it a bad
All right.
connection still?
No. You sound great. We can hear you perfectly clear now.
Oh, super.
All right. So I think one of the first questions I had was kind of tell us a little bit about the scheduling and how the season works for bowling, because you're kind of in the middle of it a little bit right now, correct?
That is correct, yes. Yes, we start October the 1st. The NCAA All Bowling D1 starts and kicks off on October 1st competition, and we have a 6-month schedule. So our season runs October 1st through the end of March. Championship series starts in April.
All right. And so this season, as the season has started, tell us a little bit about how your sport or your season was affected or has been affected with the pandemic from the previous year, and how things have gotten started this year.
Okay, we were affected pretty substantially, I would say, by the pandemic. I had 5 seniors who was looking forward to finishing strong the year of the pandemic, and they didn't get a chance to compete. But they did finish strong in the classroom. We had magna cum laude, summa cum laude. I mean, they were just really balling in the classroom. So it was advantageous to them to finish strong, and a lot of them now are in grad school and doing quite well. So I say all that to say I have a host of freshmen this year, and it has been an interesting start. I mean, we would, like with my freshmen, you can get any type of game on any occasion. I mean, we'll beat the number 1 seed one day, and the next day we'll lose to the number 1 seed, and then I mean it's just been an up and down season so far. They're just trying to get their feet wet. The freshmen are, and learn the long, gruesome weekends that we compete, and so it's been an interesting beginning of the season, to say the least.
I'm sorry about that, Coach. Yeah, joining us right now is head coach Karen Brown of the Lady Rattlers, our bowling team. Kelvin, what do you have for Coach?
Coach, talk about going to the SWAC, and if you will, compare going to the SWAC, because the MEAC was known as a very strong bowling competition. It has strong teams. I know the SWAC have some strong teams too, but kind of just talk about any differences and your approach to this season, but specifically since you were talking about how young your team is.
Okay, being in the MEAC, and yes, they have strong bowling programs. On the East Coast, you find more high school bowling. The recruiting up east and north is very heavy. Winter sport type of a situation with bowling, and so the recruiting, and they have, I mean, there's just a strong opportunity on the east and up north. I have competed in FAMU, the Lady Rattlers. We've competed with the SWAC quite a bit, being that we are, I would say, a southern school. So our schedule typically always match up with the SWAC half of the season and the MEAC the other half of the season. So for the Lady Rattlers, we're going into the family. I know all the coaches. We compete strong every year. So for us, it's like, hello family. We're now a part of, a place where we have been a part of, since day one. So it's not new for us. All the coaches, we know, our strategies, the game. So it's an easy transition, I would say, for the Rattlers going into the SWAC.
Joining us on the line, head coach Karen Brown of our Lady Rattlers bowling team. Kofi, what do you have for Coach?
Well, when did you get started in the whole bowling, in the bowling scene? And not saying how old you were when you got started with bowling, but how long? What would you say?
That's a fair question.
Yeah. When did you get started?
That's a fair question. The lady bowling, the NCAA started bowling in 2001. It became a D1 program, and FAMU jumped right on and started the program. And I am lucky enough to have the program already built by some wonderful coaches that were before me. We had Coach Franklin Brown. She was the first FAMU Lady Rattler coach. And then we had Coach Sheila Martin. And they paved the way. I mean, the students that they brought on board, the program was really set up really nice. And all I had to do was continue to build upon what they had set before me. So I started 2011-12 season, and we, and had some students from the other coach, and we, built from there, and I'm here today. And also another coach that I don't know if you guys know was Dr. Gladys Lane. She was the assistant coach.
Wow.
When it first started off. So we had Coach Franklin Brown and Gladys Lane. And then from there, we had Sheila Martin, and then here I am. And so the program was laid so beautifully. And, it put a lot of, weight on me to just keep what they had built going into the direction in which it is today. And all of us prided ourselves in the academic side of the program. And I, too, am keeping that going as well with just dynamic young ladies. So if that kind of gives you an overview of the program in a nutshell.
Right. So when it comes to recruiting, what area of the country is most beneficial to what we're building here?
Well, recruiting, it's worldwide, actually. I don't get the opportunity to go outside of the United States, but the Power Five schools that we compete against on an annual basis, I mean, they go all over. Um, Ukraine, Russia, China, all all over the world. There are, bowling opportunities and young youth bowling just worldwide. But for me, typically, I recruit on the East Coast and, of course, at home in Florida first and foremost, and in the northern high school areas as well. We've had the Michigans, the New Jersey, the Tennessee area, the Louisiana, um, Florida, of course, and that's just to name a few. You know, I mean, we just kind of, just like all the other sports, we have to go out there and find the good talent. And, it's not one area of what have you, but, we're pretty good at recruiting, I would say.
Awesome.
Coach, I see we just finished up with our own Rattler Invitational this past weekend. Tell us a little bit about that. As I'm looking at the schedule, there's a host of SWAC schools there. So let us know how some of the results and some of the top performers.
Okay. Like I said, it was an up and down weekend for us. We started out the box kind of slow. On day two, we were very strong. We defeated, I would say, all the schools that were there on day two, to include the number one seed, which was Emmanuel College in Southern University. We defeated on day two Jackson State and Grambling on day two. Day one was a little slower, but we regrouped and positioned ourselves to see what we needed to do out there on the lanes, and did good. So the weekend we finished with a 6-7 record. Alabama State was the reigning champions for the weekend. They have a very good coach and very seasoned team, and they showed up this weekend.
Mm-hmm. All right, Kelvin, go ahead and close this out if you would.
Coach, I just want you to talk about what you're looking for out of this young team from now to the end of the season, and expectations in terms of by the time we get to tournament time, uh, what do you think the ceiling is for this team?
Oh, the expectations for this young team is to regroup and to work harder, to practice stronger, and to have the confidence that they need to be who they are, because they're very talented young ladies. And when I say talented, it starts in the classroom, and they are definitely doing it there. And it usually matriculates into their play. And that's what I've noticed throughout my coaching years, is that those that are very strong academically figure it out quickly, make the adjustments, and I would say we have 2 more tournaments this fall. I would say by the next tournament, we'll see a big improvement. That's the jump that I'm expecting. We did lots of drills today, had conversations about the weekend. They realize what we need to do, and I'm expecting great improvement from the first 2 tournaments, because they're really learning just the NCAA way. They're just out of high school, and they're understanding quickly because they're students of the game. So they're understanding the adjustments, and it's really all about adjustments. With oral patterns that we deal with, you can't see them the NCAA pattern 1, pattern 2, pattern 3. It's like a golf course, and the greens, you have to feel it. You can't really see the oil, but you have to have the knowledge about the oil, the long patterns, the short patterns. So we try to practice them on the different patterns so that when we go to the different tournaments that they can adjust to them fairly quickly, and to put out different sport and shots that they can practice on to prepare for the patterns that are laid out once we get to the tournament. So it's nothing like when you go to, say, a Sunday, Saturday night with family and you can just throw the ball. It's technical pattern layouts with oil thicknesses and centimeters, this, that, and the other that, that they have to work through.
Right. So
That's
we won't
good
be
stuff.
taking anybody off the street on that has a good Friday night, and just all of a sudden you think you want to just jump out there on the bowling team. It doesn't work that way, does it, Coach?
A lot of youngsters think that, oh, I bowled before, and they'll come in the bowling alley when we're practicing. Coach, can we try out or whatever? I said, just, you can hang out and watch, because we're in a public facility, so therefore, our students can come and just see. And so when we're practicing, and then they'll say, Coach, that's okay. They quickly realize it's not a Sunday evening family outing. It's so much technicality to it, and they see it quick. And it's happened year after year. The kids that think they want to be a walk-on, they'll call me, thank you, Coach. Yeah, I'll get back with you. And they never even show up afterwards. So it's interesting to, once people see the technicality of it, it's pretty interesting to see the responses.
All right. Well, if you want to build a college bowler, you better start early in the high school level, and so that way they don't embarrass themselves when they come out and try out, and maybe there's some scholarship opportunities, so they can actually become a collegiate bowler. Coach Brown, we appreciate your time this evening, folks. Make sure you go follow the program on Twitter at FAMU_bowl. Coach, good luck to your team the rest of the way. We know the next meet is the Sonic Boom Bowling in Jackson, November 12th through the 14th. So good luck to you all then, and we'll definitely be following along with you and the Lady Rattlers.
Okay, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure, and you guys have a great one.
All right.
You too.
Thank you again. Again, that was Coach Karen Brown, head coach of the Lady Rattlers bowling program. We'll be back right after these words. You're watching the O&G Strike Zone.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell them mama hungry.
All right, welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Bryan, Kelvin, and Kofi. We go from the bowling lanes to the hard court, and I get a chance to talk to Coach Shalon Pillow. Coach, it's been a good long time since I last had a chance to talk to you. It was right after you got the job, and we were all excited and ready, and You know, it's been a long year, Coach, but you made it here. You're so close to the start of the season. Thanks for coming on. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing good, Coach.
Doing well, doing well. Well, Coach, talk a little bit about the emotions of the past year and just being right here at this moment where the season is about to begin. You're going to be tipping off in another week or two. Just talk about the emotions right now.
Well, it's definitely been a roller coaster from getting hired back in back in 2020. I can't believe it's about to be 22, first of all. But just the excitement, the new opportunity, and then preparing the team to play for the season to get canceled literally days before our first game last year was devastating. And then for the returners who came back in the summer, there was still that excitement there because they knew that we were getting ready to play. We had a lot of time off, but then going against each other day in and day out for months without going against each other, it gets trying at times for sure because everybody knows each other's game at this point and kind of predictable what's going to happen. So we're really looking forward to going to get someone else to see and get a gauge where we are because it's really hard to tell right now. I know we get better every day, but it's just really difficult to see if we're on track, you know, if we're ahead of schedule or if we need to amp some things up. So that's why November 11th I'm super excited. Of course, I'm nervous. My first game, and I don't know what I'm working with exactly. So I just know that out there, and they're going to work extremely hard, and they're going to give their best effort.
From what you've seen, Coach, how has your team changed from the team that you were ready to start last year with to what you're ready to start this year with?
Well, we have several transfers and a few freshmen who have joined our team since the last time anyone has seen us. The team's going to look totally different to anybody who watched them play in 2019. With the graduating seniors, well, it's 2 classes now. And then we have a few transfer. We have a young lady from Alabama, a lady from UTEP. We have a transfer from Wright State, and we have a transfer from the University of Virginia. So we have some experience there to mesh with some young freshmen that we brought in as well. And then let's not forget the sophomores who never played a game. So we've got a god of old and new mixed together.
Kelvin.
Coach, kind of talk about what can Rattler Nation expect in terms of style of play, you know, offensively and defensively. What do you like to do? And do you think you have the personnel at this point to do those things? Or are you going to have to tweak it toward the talent you got? Just talk about this team and the type of game we can expect to see.
Well, it's definitely a process, building a program and building a culture. And what I envision of what I want to do is something that I'm working towards. We want to be a defensive team, which we are. I think defense is our strongest suit, especially in the half court right now. But I really want us to be able to turn our defense into offense, push the ball in transition, and just make other teams very uncomfortable and always pressuring them. Right now, we're still trying to get people in the right spots. We're a little smaller than I want to be. So offensively, we're working on some different things with not having like a true post. And that's kind of where the game is now anyway. We don't see too many true back to the basket post players. So that doesn't bother me at all. We're just going to have to be really quick and smart with our fundamentals and take every advantage. We got to have our footwork right and all the details right, so we can take advantage of any little thing we can do.
Kofi. Coach, you're on mute. You're on mute, Kofi. Nope.
I don't know what happened. All right, man, there you go.
There we go. Try again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. So, what was it like playing for a legend like Pat Summitt? I know you've had to answer this question almost a million times, but for those that are not familiar with you, everybody knows who she is and what she's meant to the game of basketball. What was it like being in that environment?
Um, my initial answer is always intense. It was a very intense environment, but it also prepared me for life, and it prepared me for the position I'm in right now. So as tough as it was at times and days, I mean, my teammates always had my back. We had each other's backs, and we had a great woman in our corner. She made it hard on purpose. It's so we can be able to handle things and it seem easy. She said that all the time. Practice is supposed to be harder than the actual game. Game time should be easy because we've done all the hard work. Because I mean, our practices, I mean, were up tempo. Everything we did was full court. We didn't do a lot of sprints and conditioning because the expectation was to go hard every play, and every possession or every drill was game speed and game pace. And so it was true. Game time, you're not going 2 hours straight. You got subs. You got all kinds of different things. You got timeouts. So that woman is a huge part of why I am where I am today.
Cool. So, did you all ever practice against the guys back in the day, or against pickup guys that may have thought they could have taken you guys out? And just like, did they ever challenge you all, or what was that like?
Yeah, so Coach Summitt was the first to introduce male practice. So she was the first one in women's college sports to go out and get guys to come play against the team because she thought that'd be better competition and then make us tougher. So if we can dominate guys, surely we can go against women. That was the thought process 20 years ago or 25 years ago. Now it's just a staple in just about every program to have male practice players. Our male practice players knew their role. They knew why they were there. They were good basketball players. We actually had a couple guys that were walk-ons for the men and decided they'd rather be practice players for the women's team. So we weren't going against just some people that we picked up at the rec or some scrubs. Like, they were legit, really good basketball players and grown men. So we really got in those practices.
Awesome.
Have you employed a similar group here on at FAMU to practice against? You mentioned going up against each other. Have you been able to find that practice squad similar to what you practiced against back in Tennessee?
Yeah, so right now we've got 4 guys that are solid. Right now is where it's really important because they serve as like the scout team. So when we're preparing for our opponent, they get to emulate whatever our opponent's going to do. So for instance, in practice tomorrow, we'll be running our sets not against each other, but against the male practice team who'll be posing as Troy, our first opponent. We'll be working to get like our press offense against Troy's press and things like that. So we have 4 guys who are solid. We've got a couple more that we're recruiting at the moment that want to come help, but they are a huge part of what we do.
Let me ask this. So if there's a student that comes out, is that a scholarship opportunity? Is there any compensation that's involved for them coming out and assisting in that area? Or is it just a volunteer type deal and you get perks and stuff like that?
It's just strictly a volunteer deal. And what makes it even more amazing that these guys come out on a regular basis is that we practice at 6 a.m. So they're there at 6 o'clock every morning, and they are invested. They're cheering on our girls. They sometimes I'll ask a question like, okay, like, where were you supposed to, what are we doing that? And they're repeating it because I've said it so many times. I was like, I'm not talking to you. I wish you were on the team because you know what I'm talking about. But like, they're excited. Now, like what I've been telling them, working up to this point, I said, right now we're just kind of using you for drills and, dummy defense and things like that. But once we get rolling to the season, like, I need you to understand, like, stick with me because it's so important. Your help to prepare us, like, it's amazing. So today was kind of the first day they got a taste of that, and I mean, they were excited. They were in the huddle. They were like, "Let's go!" They're ready.
Awesome.
You had a chance over the past year, Coach, to scout the SWAC. Obviously, I don't know if you. Well, let me see. Had we already made the commitment by the time you came on board? I think we were still in the MEAC at that point. What from the past off season? What have you been able to gather about the SWAC and the SWAC teams over the past season?
Well, I know that every day it's going to be competitive. I know that coming into the SWAC, the commissioner, women's basketball is one of the top sports, and one of the most competitive sports in the conference. So that excites me. That we'll be challenged and that we'll be able to compete each day once we get into conference play. I know that there are, I mean, pretty much any given Monday or Saturday or Monday, it's going to be a fight. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great competition. I think it's going to be great for women's basketball as a whole.
Kelvin.
Coach, talk about your expectations and maybe a couple of players that you're looking to kind of step into a lead role that, if we're going to be successful this year, who do we look out for and kind of just what are you trying to see in the non-conference side of your schedule right now, leading up to conference schedule? What are you trying to accomplish?
Well, the ideal is to peak once we get to conference because that's where everything happens really. So we're picked second to last in the conference right now, so we got nowhere to go but up. The goal is not to win every game, of course. I mean, how many teams do you know that's gone undefeated? The goal is to compete and get better every time we touch the floor. The goal is to not leave anything in your body, leave everything on the court. Just to get used to playing at a pace and a tempo that's going to make us successful down the road. Also, the goal is overall to finish in the top 8 so we can go to postseason and go to conference tournament. So if we can't finish in the top 8, that this limits it, actually ends our chances of even having an opportunity to go to NCAA tournament. But we're not looking that's big picture. First thing first, finish in the top 8 so we can even have an opportunity to compete. Because everybody knows come tournament time, it's all about who's playing the best. You just got to string a few good games together. And if you're the best team at that time, you can find yourself in the NCAA tournament just like that. So that's what we're looking for. So the non-conference is definitely an opportunity for us to compete against other people, implement using a scouting report. Because, again, we have so many new people that have never had to implement a scouting report, who hasn't traveled on the road. One of the funniest things is Mallory Brooks. She is a returner. So she was a freshman last year. She's a freshman on court because of COVID or what have you. So we went for a scrimmage and we're like, the bus is leaving, whatever. She came outside. She said, I was looking for the big cheese, coach. Oh, we travel like this because it was a charter bus. So she had never traveled with a collegiate team. So she was just shocked that she thought we were about to ride on a school bus. So I was like, yeah, sis, like we don't have a school bus. But this little things like that are fun that they're going to experience for the first time. So I mentioned Mallory. She is such a hard worker, goes hard every possession in practice. A sophomore in the classroom. We've got Tia Bradshaw. She's a grad transfer from UTEP, and she's perfect because she's a point guard. She's poised. She has experience, and she's going to be able to help Jamarian Blair, who's from Tennessee. She's a true freshman, and she's going to be very talented. She can help this team a lot, but I was so happy that we're able to get Tia so that all that pressure wouldn't be on a true freshman because she's very talented, and it's a hard transition going from high school to college. It doesn't matter what position. So, but especially at a point guard when you're looking for that person to lead and be your general on the court. We also have Dylan Horton. She's transferred from Virginia. Anijah Harris from Wright State. And I mean, just about I wouldn't be shocked if any of my players I feel like are going to be able to contribute and help us build this program and get some wins this season. So, I mean, we have a core group that's working really hard, and we just have to build up everyone around them.
Okay. Kofi, close us out.
Hey, so I know that there have been some mention in regards to us going back into Gaither Gym for a couple of games this year. Have you all had an opportunity to select what those games are going to be?
No, we haven't yet. We have talked about it, though. I know when I first got the job, I got the opportunity to talk to Natalie White, and I asked her what made FAMU so special. I mean, she's the best player to come through our history. She's VP with the LA Sparks. So that was somebody I really wanted to talk to try to figure out like how we can get it back to a winning program, because when she was here, I mean, she led the country in steals and they won championships and they're doing really well. And she just talked about the atmosphere in Gaither and how it's like you can't beat it. And when we're talking with administration, with AD Gaucher, it was just funny because we said like how times have changed. When Natalie was playing, we didn't have cell phones. Like if you wanted to see somebody, you had to go to Gaither and you had to go to the basketball game. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
like now the students can just stay in their dorm room and stream it on Facebook, because we'll be streaming on Facebook this year, or not go. So, and then we have a beautiful facility in the Lawson Center right now, but being in Gaither, like I can only imagine having everybody just on top of you and the atmosphere and being able to hear everything, and let the band be in Lawson too. Like I cannot imagine how hard it would for the opponent it would be to play. And so I would love to experience that. I would love our girls to experience that as well. So it's in the works. I don't know what that look like or who our opponent would be. I suggested Bethune just to make it really hard, but they're like, nah, we're gonna pack out Lawson for Bethune. We're not gonna make it. We're gonna bring everybody in for that one. So we'll see who we decide to go with.
Cool. Thank you so much, Coach, for joining us. You're the bomb.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me anytime. I really enjoyed my time with you guys today.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Thank
definitely,
you.
Coach. Let the people know how they can reach out to you and follow you on social media, so on and so forth.
Okay, so I am on Instagram is like my favorite. I am spillow322. I think, or am I FAMU Coach? Yeah, that's what I am on Instagram. And I am FAMU Coach Pillow. And then of course this on Facebook, this Shalon Pillow. So that's the best way. Insta's my favorite, but I check everything else from time to time. But if you want a quick response, Insta's the way to go.
All right. And whenever you're ready to do that coaches show, you know, we got the name. I told you last year, we got the name for the coaches show already laid out and ready. I'm not going to give it because there's other people watching. I don't want them to steal the name.
How many people have sung Lay Your Head on My Pillow to you?
Man, and you know, I believe Lay Your Head on My Pillow, of course, Tony. And then there is a song called Pillow Talk by Sylvia. I can't remember her last name, but my grandmother's name was Sylvia Pillow. So that's why I always remember that one too. And I have to remind people I'm not soft. Just because I'm a pillow, don't try me now. I'm not soft.
All right, Coach, we love you. Hey, we're going to be following along. Hopefully we get a chance to talk to you more during the course of the year. But if we don't get a chance to talk to you prior to the first game, have a great first game. Enjoy the moment, soak it up, and then let's go get some W's, Coach. Have a good time in the process, all right?
Plan, guys. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Yes, indeed. All right. We'll be back. You're watching the O&G Strike Zone. We'll be back in just a moment.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. that's never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head and Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody.
Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go, why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
The Cuvée.
Okay, welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Bryan, Kelvin, and Kofi. You want to give a shout out and thanks again to Coach Karen Brown and Coach Shalon Pillow for joining us in the last segment. Want to open it up right now while we have some time before we get into our next guest to take some calls from Rattler Nation. We want to hear from you. Let us know how you felt about the homecoming experience, or maybe you have some thoughts about Southern upcoming. So phone number, write it down, 678-459-4236. Again, 678-459-4236. Kofi, while we're waiting on some calls, tell us about the 48 hours, 72 hours from the band kind of marching 100 being on the fence about going, almost not going, to going. Tell us how that process all took place, because you had a big hand in that.
Well, there's a lot that goes in. Let me.
You saw that cough, right, Kelvin? He's like, well,
yeah. Let me first say that, excuse me, it was in the works for the band to go from the very beginning. And they wanted to be there, especially the students having marched in the band. I can tell you it's in our DNA to face Southern University. It's one of our biggest challenges. They have a lot of the same, much of the same tradition that we do. They don't have as much, but they still have a lot of tradition. They have global recognition. And so it means a lot to those that march in the Marching 100 to be there. That being said, it costs a lot of money to move the band. And so when it comes to that, athletics has a number that they're accustomed to that will make it comfortable for them to be able to move the band. What people don't realize is that we had an entire year last year where we did not get any revenue because there was no athletic programs coming in. And it's, mind you, even with the revenue, it is always hard to move the band. It is an expense to take the band from one place to the next place. So I would say the negotiation process is what kind of put everything on pause. The number of nights that the band was supposed to stay was really up for grabs. And, you know, quite frankly, our leadership was just kind of like, that's not something that we can do at this time. But I'm grateful that, you know, the alumni got involved. We opened the lines of communication, and we put a demand for the people to find a way to make this work. And credit to Courtney Gaucher, credit to our National Alumni President, Greg Clark, who worked the lines, kept the lines of communication going so that we could get the band, because I could not even imagine Ohio State and Michigan without the bands. So FAMU and Southern is pretty much like the same way. It's the same thing. It is ludicrous to even think that we would be in a position where the ban would not go. But I'm grateful that we were able to work it out.
I agree. Great
Somebody's
points,
on the
Kofi.
line.
We got a caller on the line right now. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Dwayne, Jacksonville.
All right, Dwayne.
Hello.
How you doing?
Okay,
What's
cool.
on your mind?
Good. Yeah, so this trip to Southern, right? I think we can dominate them, but I think we could dominate any of the teams that we played this year. You know, we could have even done a better job against South Florida. But the quarterback play worries me. You know, I think coach sometimes get between, okay, he's inexperienced, and then he acts like McKay is a very experienced quarterback. If we would give him what he could do, and sometimes it doesn't seem like we're doing that. But I just think we could do the defense. I am kind of worried about Savion being out for the first half. If they're going to keep him out because he was kicked out of the game, which I didn't even understand how he got kicked out.
Yeah, he is. He should be now. Unless now, I want to. It's funny you brought that up because I have not got. I've made two different inquiries to the SWAC office regarding that incident during the game, and there has been no official word yet. And I was told I would get word when there has been something. So maybe that'll come tomorrow, Thursday. But as of Wednesday evening, nothing has come out yet. So we all assume that Savion would get or miss the first half, but we don't know.
And for the SWAC to really be what they could be, they're gonna have to fix this officiating stuff. It's you have bad officiating in the NFL, but this stuff is crazy. For them to have that big blow up and just get like a one personal foul, that to me that was, and just other stuff that's happened throughout the year. So and I am kind of concerned about that this weekend.
What's your prediction for the game, Dwayne?
30-3.
All right, I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks for
enjoy
calling.
Enjoy the show, guys.
Appreciate
Thanks,
you. Appreciate you.
All right. Talk to you later. K, are you going?
No, man. You're going to have to hold it down for me.
We'll be there. All right.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Coffee, you'll be there.
Yes, sir.
All right. Y'all have a good show, man. Enjoy it. Y'all doing a great job.
Hey, appreciate you. Hey, let's bring on. I think our next guest is scheduled. Is he already available? I believe. If I heard my producer correct, there he is, the MEAC and FAMU Athletics Hall of Famer himself, former Sports Information Director Alvin Hollins. Alvin, how you doing, brother?
I'm fine. How you guys doing?
Man, you looking good there.
Good to see you, brother.
Was that Dwayne Sweet?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I remember him for many years when I was working in the office. We had long conversations, about schedules and stats and games and stuff like that. And he said Dwayne from Jacksonville. That's the first thing that came to mind. I said, I wonder if that's Dwayne Sweet. Probably should have spoken up. But yeah, you've got a lot of loyal Rattlers all over. It's going to be got a lot of Rattlers in Baton Rouge. You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
So, probably wouldn't be, but still, it's going to be an interesting game this week. I think. I think with FAMU, looking forward to the possibility, of playoffs, and of course, you still have to keep, the Eastern Division isn't settled yet either because Jackson has 3 games to play. They've got to play Alcorn at the end of the year, end of the regular season anyway, and and I think they go to Southern next week, I believe. So,
yes.
This thing is far from settled. It's far from settled. and it took them a while to subdue Mississippi Valley, and I think it was last week. And I said, well, wow, people were. I was kind of nervous and said, well, gee, we were around there struggling with Valley after we were up 17 points. And then, well, I said, well, Dion's not there, so maybe they lost a little bit of that fire. But, and I mean Jackson. But we've got some irons in the fire. Either the either Eastern Division in the Celebration Bowl, SWAC Championship, or possible at large. But the only thing that we can control is to win these last 3 games. And we win those last three, and we'll go from there.
Let me ask you this, Alvin. From how do you rank, or where do you put this defensive team? And I'm not going to say the whole team. Where do you put this defensive team, stack it up against some of the other teams that you've seen in FAMU history of the more recent era?
Well, I think this defense, especially the way they started, the way they came out of the gate, I was seeing numbers that were comparable, to some of those units in the 70s, the 77, the 78, especially that 78 and even 79. I remember that 79 team that upset Miami. Those guys were seniors who had played in the 78 championship year and the undefeated 77 season as well. So I think they compare pretty favorably to them. They were nationally ranked in a lot of categories. I mean, that 78 defense was #1 in the nation in rushing defense, scoring defense, and total defense. I mean, you think about what they did in '78. The fact that they were able to shut down a number of teams. I mean, they held Grambling to 7 points in the Orange Blossom Classic. We gave up 17 in the first half to Bethune, and we ended up winning that game 27-17. So that defense, of course, I got a chance to see it when I was at Southern in '78. But that defense, was really good. Now, obviously, we've had some defenses. You go back to the '50s and the '60s that were really good. I mean, we had a couple of years where, we didn't give up more than I think we were looking at '61. The '61 team gave up only what they gave up. I think 2 scores to like one team, and of course, the all-time great would be that '38 team, which gave up 7 points the entire year. They were 8-0. So we've had some great defenses, all down through the years, and I think some of the defenses we've had, even more recently. But this is one of the best that I've seen, because the shutouts and the keeping people off, just I like this defense as good as it's as good as any that I've seen, since I've been around anyway.
Kelvin.
So Alvin, there's a lot of history with Southern and FAMU, a lot of classic games. I have not missed going to Baton Rouge the last 4 or 5 times we went there, so which is why it's really gonna hurt me to miss this one. But just talk about and of course, you've been around us for 40 years. You went to Southern Lab and from the area. Just talk about your memories and the rivalry of FAMU and Southern and maybe 1 or 2 of the classic matchups or memories you have.
Well, when it comes to FAMU and Southern, I think these. There was a guy who was our business manager years ago, Mr. Niles, or Nathaniel Niles, and I think he retired in the late '80s, early '90s. But anyway, he would always talk about how FAMU was so dominant, that there were certain teams that the fans really were more interested in seeing us play, like Southern, whoever we played in the Classic, Tennessee State, obviously, because we played them every year too. There were certain teams that you knew were going to be strong and were going to really challenge you. So you really could measure yourself. And Southern is one of those teams, because if you look at our total package as far as athletics, you're looking at, whether you talk about track, basketball, football, baseball, you know, I mean, we're so comparable in many ways. I mean, football, I think we won, 12, 13 national championships, they won 10. We both had these great runs, years where we would just dominate, and we've had outstanding coaches, Hall of Fame coaches, Hall of Fame players, either pro football or college football. So you're talking about almost two peas in a pod. So that's why if you look at the scores of the games over the years, even if they were high scoring like in the 40s and the 50s, they were neck and neck because, you're talking about the level of intensity, and you throw the bands in, and that just makes it even more special. So I think these are two programs that actually, if you go back and look at some of the history, they've shared, a lot of personnel. Coaches have gone back and forth, and we had a vice president here at FAMU who's now an executive vice president at Southern, uh, Bryan Lucas. So, of course, I came from Southern in 1979, and there were a number of other people. Matter of fact, an athletic director at Southern, Dean Jones. He was Ulysses Dean Jones. He was the dean of men here at FAMU in the 40s and coached the basketball team. Then he ended up going to Southern. So, and I think we had a track coach who coached Bob Hayes, that went on to work at Southern for a number of years as a track coach. So we have, HBCU have a lot of that cross pollination anyway, because back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, these are the only places we could get jobs, really. So, but that, made the relationship special. And our coaches, especially Dick Gaither, and Ace Mumford, they were very good friends. I mean, they got after each other during the games, but they were very good in a way of colleagues. So it's very interesting. This series, when it ended in 2001, after almost 40, maybe 50 years, it seemed like, there was a lot of, I guess you could say there wasn't, a lot of anger amongst fans because they look forward to these games on both sides, because this was, it was a non-conference game, but it became a rivalry all its own. It was almost like, hey, you think about the years that we played with Billy Joe, and I think specifically, since we're talking about at large, I think about those years, 97, 98, 99, when we weren't in the mix for the conference. So we needed to do well, to get an at-large bid. Of course, back in those days, more HBCUs were ranked. Southern was always like number one in the black college, especially in the late 90s, under Pete Richardson. They were always ranked number one, number two in the black college. I remember they came coming in 97. And just like Dwayne Sweet picked it 33 to 30, 33 to 3, or 30 to 3, they came in, they were number one in the country, had the top rusher and all that kind of stuff. And I think we had almost 30,000 people in there. You couldn't even see the aisles from the press box. People were sitting everywhere. And we basically went on I think like a 20 to nothing run to come out of the locker room, ended up beating them 33 to 3. And of course, 2 years later, everybody remembers that beatdown we put on Southern. Was it 65 to 19, where we had that great hit on the kickoff return,
The
and
hit round the
covered the
world.
former, huh? The hit
The hit
heard
heard
round the
round the
world.
world.
Yep. And after that, that was 14 zip. We get the ball back, and I think Jawan Sider goes like about 50 yards for a touchdown. And at that point, you knew it was over. I mean, and it was 65-19. I think was the final score. So but the game, there was so much build up before that game because this is when the internet had just really taken, taken, and someone mentioned to Pete Richardson that there were some FAMU fans saying that the cheerleaders were going to be playing in the third quarter, that somebody was going to get embarrassed. So Pete mentioned it at his press conference, and could the guilty party be on the line? I don't know, but either way, he mentioned that, and Billy Joe said later, he said the kids were looking forward to the A&T game the following week because that was going to be essentially the conference championship. But he said when he mentioned that to them in their pregame meeting, that cheerleaders, and Billy Joe has had that he had that he had that great ability to over dramatize things. It said the cheerleaders are going to be playing on us in the third quarter. So he said all you could see, he said the guys weren't even really, it's almost like they were dead men when he walked in. By the time he got through, he said their heads were so high. He said, man, I don't know if we can get them out of the ceiling and get them onto the field. So we jumped all over Southern, and it wasn't even close. Then we lose to A&T. Then we go to the playoffs, and we up 19 points on Appalachian State at halftime. And the media reporters are coming over to me and the late Ken Riley saying, "Who are you guys? Didn't y'all just lose to A&T?" Well, you got to realize we played our arch rival the week before, so we were actually we were actually coming down. You know, it was kind of a letdown, and that's what happened at A&T. But hey, we're up 19 points on your boys, so we must not be too bad. And we ended up going to the finals that year. So but that game is always it's kind of set the tone for HBCU. Whoever comes out of that usually ends up, earning a lot of brownie points toward a possible black college championship. And Pete Richardson had that stretch in the 90s, early 2000s, where I think he won 3 or 4 championships. And firmly believe, I firmly believe if he had a chance to take some of his teams to the playoffs like we did, it would have been interesting because they had some great talent on those teams. I still think about that 95 season when we played them in Atlanta, played them twice. We played them in the regular season, and I said that was the game where the um, Gulf
Oh,
Coast offense was really born because we were struggling. We fallen behind, I think, by 2 scores, and we swapped Damian Slaughter for Mario Allen. And
Mario Allen. Yep.
before we knew it, it was bombs away, you know, and at halftime, and we went from being down like 17, it was at 14, 17-3. We went to it was a 30, it was 35-35 at the half. I mean, that's just
yeah.
how explosive the game got. So I said, well, it's going to be bad. Somebody's got to lose this game. And we ended up losing it 52-38. We were in the red zone, and I think third down, they got a pick six to win the
Is that the
game. And
pick
I
six in
always
the end
remember,
zone?
they picked six and ran it back the other way for the final 52-38. It was 45. It was 45-38 at that point. So we were driving to possibly tie the game inside of the last 2 minutes. And if you go through the notes that I sent over, if you look at those games that show you how intense this series is, are have almost always been decided in the fourth quarter, maybe inside of the last 2 or 3 minutes. It's rare where one team or another, like the Southern game in '97, where one of us blew the other out. Those games were rare, and they've happened because I know Southern beat FAMU 59-0 in the '60s, and that was where the great quote from Jake Gaither, "Somebody's got to pay," and somebody did the next week. So we took it out on them. So, but those types of, that's the flavor of this rivalry. I mean, we look forward to it as a big test of who we are because, of course, later in the year, Southern's going to be playing Grambling in the Bayou. We're going to be playing Bethune in the Florida Classic. But if you really, from the standpoint of a successful season, those are one of the games. Those are one of the red letter dates that you circle when your schedule comes out.
Right. Kofi, what do you got? We got about 5 minutes left in this segment. Kofi, what do you got?
Well, man, obviously you went to Southern. So what was it like in the FAMU Southern rivalry for you as a Southern Knight, as a student? Was it different in regards to the different games as a Southern Knight? What does Jaguar Nation, what games do Jaguar Nation look to really be a part of?
Well, Jaguar Nation really looked forward to the Southern game. The FAMU game. I think as much as anything else. Obviously, in the SWAC, you had all cultures right up the road from Baton Rouge, and of course Grambling was the arch rivalry. That was the game at the end of the year. But FAMU was special. You had the rivalry with the bands, and like I said, we played for a non-conference series, and that's the thing to emphasize: a non-conference series to play someone every year from the mid '40s all the way till 2001. So that became, you talk about the the FAMU Southern feelings when, and it's kind of funny now when my mom passed and we were at the funeral. A couple of people knew I was at Southern. They said, "Hey man," they said, "Alvin, sorry about your mom. When we gonna start playing again?" And I'm looking at these guys like, "Man, my mom's sitting there lying in state. You cats asking me about a football game." But then I said, "Well, I think we were." Then I said, "Well, I think we're working on it." We were at the time. In fact, I think we started back playing in the next year. But it's amazing how that game really resonates in that Jaguar Nation, because it's like I said, it's one of those games that you look to really get a feel for how good your team is in a particular year, because how for the years they've been. Even if both teams come in with bad records, it's still the intensity. It's still you know you still want to get the best of them, and you always have the bands as well. So it's just one of those must see, no matter what the records are.
Awesome.
Well,
Thank you so much.
this game this Saturday, it's a 7 p.m. kickoff in the Bayou, Baton Rouge. Care to make any predictions on this one, Alvin? How do you see this one shaping up?
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be very intense. I don't know if I want to pick a score because I kind of echo the feelings of Wayne. I'm concerned about the offense, especially the quarterback play. But I thought about it after watching the Mississippi Valley game, and I said, you realize these guys have been off an entire year, and when you saw him play in 2019, he was pretty good. He would come off and relief Ryan Stanley. So I said, man, this guy might be pretty good. Of course, we we had a bunch of quarterbacks on the roster anyway, but he kind of stood out. So, but I think that year off really hurt the development of some of these guys, and especially quarterback. So, maybe he's just now getting into the routine. So we'll see. But I mean, he's made some big plays. He's got plenty of talent. I mean, you got the Bishop and some of those other guys. I see they got Xavier Smith back. And of course, that's a name I don't know because I haven't been around them for 2 years. But, I think this is going to be another one of the classic, nail biters on go down to the wire, just like the last time we played in 19 where Xavier catches a touchdown with 4 or 5 minutes left. I think it's going to be that type of one score game, like 21. I think it's going to be in that range. Now, if it gets out of hand like it has out in Baton Rouge, where we get into the 40s and the 50s, it's still probably going to be a score game unless there are a whole bunch of turnovers, because that's kind of the tradition. You think about those games in the with the Bonner in '98. I'm sorry, Bonner in '98, and then we go back and I think it's Quinn Gray in 2000. Those were the 50-40, 50-48, 50-49, and then Joe Taylor took them out in 2008, 52-49. And if we don't strip a wide receiver in the end zone, with 2 or 3 minutes left, we lose. FAMU loses that game like 50-50. I think 52-49 was the final, so it would have been 56-52. So I think it's going to be that type of rock'em sock'em down to the wire game. If I had in my head, I'd say something like 30-20 FAMU.
30-20. I know.
27.
I know you said 30-27.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's going to be one of those back and forth games, just like if you think about the Valley game, the A&M game, where we started going back and forth after we had your foot on their neck. And see, with our defense is going to keep you keep you in check. The question is, do we do enough on offense to help them out? Because it's hard, it's hard sustaining that energy for 60 minutes as far as the defense is concerned. So that's why we had a lot of wild games because we would score so fast, the defense would barely have a chance to go get a cup of Gatorade, and they were right back out there. So I think both defenses were burned up by the end of the game because nobody really got a chance to rest and recoup, because they were, because it was a trap meet. So I think that's what we're going to have, that kind of game. The Southern, I don't know if they're fighting for their coach's life or whatever, and I know in our case, we want to close out a season. I think that was one of the first mission statements that Willie Simmons had when he came in, because we'd had so many issues. We lost so many games the last 2 years, didn't close out games in the quarter. And that was one of the things he said, we have to learn to finish. And I think finishing this year means winning these last 3, including, skinning those cats and Thune. That's another cats we're going to have to deal with in a couple of weeks. So, but it's first Southern University.
Well said. Alvin, we always appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in, dropping a little history lesson and a little bit of knowledge on this great rivalry and this great series. So as always, man, thank you for your time. We're going to come back after this break, and we'll let you know our predictions and our thoughts of this Southern contest coming up after the break. You're watching the ONG Strike Zone. We'll be back right after these words.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
All right, welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Bryan, Kelvin, and Kofi. And again, another big weekend ahead of us. This is the second full weekend of SWAC games, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a full SWAC schedule. All 12 teams are in action. 6 SWAC games are taking place. Of course, our game with Southern is a 7 p.m. kickoff, scheduled for ESPN Plus. That's 7 Eastern, so that's 6 o'clock Central. So I guess if you were going to the game, it'd be 6 o'clock Central Time. All right, Kelvin, let's break it down. What's this game going to look like on Saturday?
You can pencil us in for at least 10 penalties and 100 yards worth of penalties. Not because we committed it, but because we playing in Baton Rouge. It's just going to happen. It's going to be that way. It's part of the culture of playing at Southern. We'll probably get a touchdown call back. I mean, that's just the way it is. So that's my concern. I'm less concerned about the environment and Southern offense and what concerns me is the officiating, keeping them in the game. And unlike what I said last week, we haven't played the same on the road like we played at home as a team. However, our defense travels. We had Valley dead to the water, 17-0, with about 5 minutes left in the third quarter. And then we had those turnovers that got them in the game. And then everybody realized, well, Valley is pretty good because they had Jackson State down 13-6 in the third quarter.
Yep.
So in terms of this game, what I expect our defense to play well and our special teams to play well. I've seen improvement with our quarterback play. I'm not concerned there. I know what I'm going to get with him, right? I know I'm going to get, he throw the ball 34 times, 35 times, I'm going to get 20 completions. That's what it's going to be. I'm going to get 200, 250 yards, and I'm going to get a couple of touchdowns, right? So as long as he ain't turning the ball over, that's our formula. I'm cool with that. I anticipate, the other thing I will point out is that unlike some of the other defense we played, Southern is not very strong defensively. They give up a lot of points. And just like when the other SWAC teams have played Jackson State, just like what you saw what Purdue did to Southern for their homecoming. If you play clean against Southern with our talent level, we're going to create separation. And that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go with a score somewhere around 35-10.
Okay, 35-10. What do you got, Kofi?
I agree with that statement. I agree with everything my brother said. What I will say is, it just boils down to us playing, as Billy Joe put it, pure, unadulterated Rattler football, which for this season means running the ball, playing good defense, playing solid special teams, and not turning the ball over. We do that, and the game will not be close. We do that, and the game will not be close. I would echo the score, 35-14, 35-10, somewhere around that area. And I think that if we manage to get out even to a stronger start, this could be the breakout game that people have not seen. But it is a rivalry game, and it is Baton Rouge, and it is, we do have referees that have their own set of eyes. So we want to make sure that we're mentally tough when we go out there to be able to tune other stuff out and focus. And that's what it's all about, because we need to create that separation. I would say that even looking at the polls and just the different things, perception is everything, and people don't perceive that Mississippi Valley is a good team. I know that they're a decent team, that they're a good team, an up and coming team. They beat UAPB, I think, the other year, and I think they almost beat Tennessee State. So they've been building for some time. And I think, but overall, the perception of Valley is they're not good. So if the game is close, that means your team is not good, which means that we've got to step it up. But people respect the Southern University brand. So if we get in there and we do what we're supposed to do, it's going to elevate the program and elevate the eyes and the perception of who we are.
This is the only matchup on the SWAC, and I was just browsing through this. The only matchup in the SWAC between two programs with a 500 or better record, even winning records in conference. I mean, we're 6-2, 4-1. They are Southern is 4-4, 3-2. It's the only matchup of its kind. Great point you brought up, Kelvin, about points allowed. They've allowed 32.5 on the season while only scoring 28.75. And then as you said, when you go and look at the points that they've given up 35 to Alcorn, 48 to Prairie View. They gave up 35 to Texas Southern, gave up 25 to Mississippi Valley, 31 to McNeese State, even gave up 24 to Miles. I mean, UAPB was the only one who couldn't score points on them, but they that's a whole nother story. They got all kinds of issues going on over there. So, yeah, I agree. Even though we're averaging exactly 30 points since the Alabama State game, exactly 30.
Give him my soda. Give him my soda.
I do see us scoring in the mid-30s. I like your 35. I'll even go one further and say 38. I think they'll sneak in a couple touchdowns. So maybe like a 38-14 ball game. But the scary part is I feel like the same way I said that going into Alabama A&M game, and then you had shenanigans that popped off. And all of a sudden we're playing catch-up. That's the only thing that worries me. And that we have, as you said, this is a good litmus test for us because the last two road games should have been bigger victories, but we had to come from behind to win by 4, and then we had to walk out of there, holding on to ourselves with a 3-point win in Valley. So, who is this team? If this is a team that is truly worthy of going to the playoffs, they need to beat Southern and beat them handily. They need to show the dominance that we all keep talking about, that Rattler Nation keeps talking about. So we all need to see this big point spread margin that we're talking about. It needs to come home. I think so that's all I got. I mean, I think it's there. Any final thoughts, anything additionally you want to add before we break out and close up?
Just Rattler Nation, those that are traveling to Baton Rouge, be mindful, be safe. It is a high crime area, and they love their Jaguars. So if you have good car insurance, don't be surprised, of course, if we win, if your tires are slashed. Not trying to alarm anybody, but it is what it is. So be mindful of where you are. Be a Rattler, be safe. Let's go and bring this W home. Let's do what we got to do, man, so we can go on and finish out the year strong.
Yeah, and look out for other Rattlers while you're out there, too. Kelvin, any final words?
Yeah, but I'll wait till this game is over. But I've been looking at some of the other conferences, and what they're doing. The OVC Tennessee State got a big game this week, where if they win, they're in first place in OVC, right? They play Tennessee
Right.
Martin, who's in first place now. I watch what's going on in the Southland and also the Southern Conference. And folks talk about our schedule and our records. I would tell you those conferences and those teams ain't much better. From top to bottom, they are very weak. Particularly the OVC this year. Tennessee is in second. They're 4-4 overall. But Tennessee Martin is, I think, the only team that has a winning record in the Southland. It's kind of the same way. They all over the place. So if we take care of business, we'll be in. If we win out, we'll be in the playoff, and we will have a game that we can travel to and we can win. I leave it there.
Yeah. This is I didn't get a chance to mention this. Two final thoughts here. One, when you go and look at rankings, because now the conversation is what it is, and we are talking about seeding and rankings. Two places I always go look: Massey ratings and then computerratings.com. In computerratings.com, we're ranked 31st, where Jackson State is ranked 16th. Massey is what worries me. Well respected as well. Jackson State ranked 59th. Prairie View ranked 64th. FAMU rated 69th. Now, these are computer analytic sites. So there's not much regard there for the SWAC, and those are the three best teams in the SWAC. So we got a long road to climb. We need to win out. We need successful big wins. And hopefully we got to drive this conversation, because otherwise we may get screwed out of an at-large based on ratings by the computers. I just want to say that. So we need to be aware of that. And then my final thought is we went the whole show, and guys, we forgot to mention our Lady Rattler volleyball program, which went out to Grambling over the weekend, won 3 games. They beat Grambling 3-0. Texas Southern was 3-2, and then battle for second place against UAPB on Sunday morning. They swept UAPB. So the Lady Rattlers are now 19-6 on the year, 11-2, firmly in second place. I think we've got a home game against Bethune-Cookman Friday night, 6 p.m. in the Lawson Center. That should be a sweep. If it's not a sweep, be worried. Now, that's the last home game. So make sure folks get out and see that game. Hopefully we can get that game streamed on Facebook. Hint, hint, anybody out there might be listening. If not, send out a word. Send a message to the athletic department. Let them know you want this game streamed on Facebook so that we can watch the Lady Rattlers Friday night against Bethune-Cookman. And then 2 weeks from, or at least a week from now, is the rematch against Alabama State. So, that'll be a big game. Alabama State and Jackson State have yet to play in volleyball either. So just want to put that out there. So that's going to do it for us. We thank you for watching. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe wherever you are watching us, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ONG Strike Zone. Go download the Jericho Broadcast Network's app on your Google or Apple Play Store, MyJBN, MyBCSN, and go send us an email. Let us know what you thought of the show. Shout out to Shirley Baker. Shout out to Alfred Palmore for sending us some emails. And you too could be doing that as well. Let us know your thoughts on the show. All right, that's going to do it. We're officially out of here now. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for watching. That's going to do it for tonight. Hey, let's go beat up on some Jaguars. Let's beat up on those Cats this weekend. All right, Rattlers, strike, and strike again this weekend, baby. Let's go.